What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be talking about Esports Box Club, and I'm going to be kind of deep diving and explaining something that I just thought was absolutely incredible, and it was so much better and more important and usable than I thought it would be, and that is the loose movement modifier. Now, I made this video a little while back talking about, we finally know what this icon is. Wow, it's a silhouette, then it suddenly turns white, and it's, one of the devs mentioned that it's the loose movement, and it's like, okay, so, we spoke about what does that mean, what does that do, and now that I've been able to have hands-on with Esports Box Club, and as well as at the same time as playing, Ash, the owner, was able to explain it, which was awesome, and like explain its pros and its cons. I'm going to be explaining that to you guys, and honestly, it's a really cool feature, not just visually, but it does actually have an effect on the gameplay, which is what we were all wondering. Does it affect the gameplay, or is it pointless? And trust me, guys, it is not pointless. So yeah, without further ado, guys, let's jump into it. So I was going to start by saying that to turn it on and off, you just press this on the D-pad. Simple as that. On, off, and it's done. Simple as that. You don't have to hold it, you just press it, and the little icon will light up, or, go back to grayed out kind of thing. And I want to say one thing is I was wrong. I thought the icon moved. It doesn't. It was just the video quality. So it does. It's a fighter like this, and he goes from a silhouette, and then he turns to white when it's on. Then it goes back to a silhouette when it's off. So that's all you do. Simple as that to get it activated on or off. So right off the bounce with the loose movement modifier, visually, it looks great. So visually what will happen is your fighter will drop his hands, and he'll start to move differently. A bit more swagger, and kind of free. So for example, Caleb Plant's a good kind of example on this game. So normally he's like walking, and he's like, when you roll, he'll when you slip, boom boom. Whereas you go in this loose movement, and this Philly shell's a little bit looser. It's a little bit looser. He's doing this a bit more naturally. He's on his tiptoes a bit more. He's kind of, snapping in and out, snapping in and out. So visually, you can see the fighter is a lot more relaxed, ready to kind of showboat a little bit, ready to kind of swag around and be loose. Hence the name, the loose movement modifier. That's pretty much what it is visually, is your fighter becomes very loose and relaxed. Hands maybe down by their sides. I mean, you can imagine like fighters like Muhammad Ali in this loose movement modifier are going to be insane. Imagine if they get Prince Nassim Hamed. Imagine if they get him with loose movement modifier. He's going to be, all this. So visually, it looks spectacular as a on and off feature. And it does have an effect on the gameplay. Before people are like, okay, so it's just visual. It has an effect on the gameplay. So visually aside, let's focus on how it does affect when we play. Now, one thing to note right off the bounce is when you're in the loose movement state, so you've turned it on, the kind of the biggest point is you receive more damage, but in turn you give more damage. So every shot's a bit more powerful, but if you're doing all this, and you get cracked right down, then you're going to get rocked. So you're more likely to have those one-punch stuns, those one-punch drop, those one-punch knockouts. Now, it doesn't happen often, but I think me and Virus on the Discord, we done 5 rounds, Plant vs. Froch, loose movement modifier. We were just, boom, show button, boom, boom. And there was one time where we were doing it, and as he come in, I just went bang with the body, rocked his body. I come to him, bang, he rocks my body, and I think I go down. I was like, oh, fuck, like that's what the loose movement does, because I rocked him and he went out with that loose movement to seize up. I'm still swaggering towards him, no big deal. He's rocked, and he just comes right back up, and bang, I go down. So there's more damage to give, but more damage to receive, because obviously your hands are down, you're moving more, it's very sporadic, so there is more damage to give and receive in the loose movement. But that's not all. It will make you harder to hit, more slippery, awkward, because your fighter is doing all of this naturally. You obviously are moving, and you can add more to it, but instead of just like walking like this, your fighter will start, walking towards the opponent, and doing all this shit, hands by their side, maybe, hands out like this. Lots of movement makes you awkward, makes you slippery, kind of, all right, how the fuck is he moving? You might jab, and the loose movement might just whoop, whoop. Now, don't take it the wrong way of like, oh, so it's automated. You can absolutely get caught on an instant. I was doing it where we were going, and I was coming towards him. I just got caught with that lead hook. It's easy to hit. It's just you become that little bit more like, okay, what's he going to do? You also move slightly faster. Now, while that might not be, you move slightly faster going straight, going at the same time your character's just quicker. It's also actually, if you're if you're in the loose movement and you go to sprint, or at least pick up the speed and go a bit quicker, you move. It's the fastest you can possibly move in the ring outside of the sprint mechanic. So you can be in loose movement and you rock, or you can rock someone and you can change right to loose movement instantly. So let's say, you know, I'm playing and I, you know, catch someone with that shot, rock them. I can turn that loose movement on and start walking towards them. You know, start getting that going, walk towards them, start picking up the speed. I'm a bit quicker in that loose movement. I'm doing a bit more hops towards them, as opposed to walking, I'm hopping towards them this time. And then so that's what the loose movement does in terms of the movement. It just makes it a little bit more quicker, a little bit more sporadic. Whereas, for example, you know, that's a lot of fighters, whereas Plant is an example where you rock someone in that loose movement, he goes into his loose Philly shell, but he walks flat-footed towards you. You can pick up his speed if you want, but as an example, I rocked Carl Froch, and I was able to, with Plant, just kind of swagger towards him, flat foot, swagger, you know, just get this shot ready, swagger, bing, just, you know, quite flat foot, walking someone down. So the loose movement has variety depending on the fighters you're using. Another thing it does is allow, you're very feint heavy. So for example, with Fury, you're in that loose movement, he's doing a lot of this, and like the hands are moving, so you don't actually know what's gonna, you know. So when you're in that loose movement, that's why, like, you know, it helps because there's lots of moving, there's lots of feints, but you know, you're faking. And the person you're fighting might just be like, fuck this, straight lead hook, you know, drop it on the inside, bang, bang, and you're gonna take that damage because you're a bit too loose, you're a bit too overconfident. You can just get your shit tagged, but it does look like you're going to be visually fainting with the head movement, with the shots, and there's a lot going on to take on board when you're not in loose movement and your opponent is. And one more thing is the taunts. There's a few things you can do. So for example, just off the top of my head, say I'm in loose movement right now, and I can go like this, so I can go and I'll do a little shuffle, or I will do, say, this one, like left up, and I'll put this hand out, and I'll do this. Or say I'll do, like, I think it's like this one or something, and I'll do the thing where I slip the punch with my body and look for it like that. So there's, like, the loose movement lets you do more wild taunts. Now, for example, when we're playing and I'm in the loose movement, I'm moving around, I'm showboating, I'm throwing shots. Now, if I go like this, or, sorry, just that, actually, just flick it once and to do a step forward, or back to do a step back. Normally, you know, you like this, jab, step back. Whereas in loose movement, this is just a placeholder for every fighter, but in the future, fighters will have their own ones and different ones. But this is an example. When you flick forward at the moment in the loose movement, hands behind your back, go under the hooks, and you do this. That's how you step back with your hands behind your back. Very, very showboaty. But I hope that kind of explains what the loose movement is and how it affects the gameplay. We finally have the answer. I know you guys were curious because the video when we spoke about it got tons of views. So I hope that explains it a little bit, you know, kind of like the pros and cons with the damage given, the damage taken, as well as the feinting, the moving, you know, the more, showboat and chauvinistic moving, you know, the natural head movement you have, but obviously allows you to get maybe tagged slightly more because your hands are here. Obviously, then you've got the taunts that you can do as well. All in all, the loose movement was one of my favourite things because the footwork was so nice anyways. It was nice to have like two varieties of that footwork. So yeah, it was really good. But I just thought I'd cover that because I know a lot of people were curious about it. But thank you as always for watching, guys. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.